All right, college football fans, I wasn't able to tweet it out this morning, so I'm going to talk about it here on Walk It Off with Chappy, and then I will post the graphics and tweet it. But Chappy's top 10, normally do a great 28, and I'll put all that, but for the purposes of this video, we'll go top 10. So starting at number 10, I'm having UCLA still in that top 10. Their only loss came this last weekend against a very good Oregon team at Autzen, where the Ducks have only lost, I think, 4 times in the last 6 or 7 years. So for them to put up 30 on that Oregon team is not bad. Also, let's not forget that they beat a ranked Utah team and a ranked Washington team. Granted, both were in the Rose Bowl, but UCLA is still a pretty good team moving forward, I think. Number 9 is USC. Their only loss this year was that 1-point loss on the road at Utah. Their offense is scoring points. Their defense is taking the ball away, creating takeaways, and it's a Lincoln Riley team, so you know they're going to be competitive, and you know that they're going to be aiming for double digits and probably get there. Caleb Williams is having a quietly good Heisman season. When I say that, because all the noise goes to CJ Stroud and Hendon Hooker, but Caleb Williams, his numbers, his stats are right up there. Number 8, I have TCU. They're still undefeated, still proving me wrong. I don't see them getting to the Big 12 championship unscathed, but they're getting closer and closer. They are a damn good team. I'm still a little bit hesitant, though, because in that first half, without K-State's injuries at quarterback, the Wildcats had that lead, and then injuries really hurt them, set them back. Their leaders were out, and TCU took advantage. Now, it's not to take anything away from the Frogs, but a number 8 ranking, I think, is very, very good at this point, considering what the expectations were going into 2022. Oregon, I have at number 7, like I already touched on. They're a good football team, especially offensively. The combination of Bo Nix at quarterback and Kenny Dillingham, the offensive coordinator, he's scheming the plays right. Bo Nix is running the plays almost to perfection, and that defense is playing well enough to have Oregon a serious contender for not only the Pac-12 title, but possibly for a CFP spot. Clemson, I have at number 6. I dropped them down a spot because they narrowly escaped against Syracuse. Now, Clemson dominated most of that game, but they didn't take advantage of the opportunities that they had to really put the orange away. And while it was good for me, taking the Qs plus 13 in that game, it didn't necessarily look like a number 5 ranked team. So I gave that spot to Alabama, moving them up. They pretty much controlled Mississippi State. Granted, it was in Tuscaloosa, it was at night, and it's Alabama coming off of a stinging loss to Tennessee, so you kind of knew that was going to happen. But Alabama still and will continue to be one of the top 5 teams in the country, I think, moving forward. Number 4, Michigan. They could have an argument for a higher spot, but I think the other 3 teams have played just a little bit better and have put up a little bit better numbers against their competition that's on their schedule. But if J.J. McCarthy can continue to grow and improve as a quarterback, obviously Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards are a great tandem in the backfield. That offensive line is the best in the country, and the defense is playing spectacular right now for the Maize and Blue. Really looking forward to that November 26th matchup against Ohio State. Number 3, I have Georgia. They haven't played the stiffest competition since they went up against Oregon, but they blasted Oregon in week 1. That was a slightly different Oregon team, and I think a slightly different Georgia team as well. But the Dogs are still looking to put the hurt on teams. We'll know even more when they face off against Tennessee in 2 weeks in Athens. So I've got UGA at number 3, Ohio State at number 2, CJ Stroud, and the tandem of Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams in the backfield. All those receivers led by Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba back. Cade Stover's playing a good tight end. Their defense under Jim Knowles is tightening up and getting better by the week. So again, I repeat what I said a minute ago. I really, really look forward to that matchup November 26th in C-Bus against the Michigan Wolverines. Hopefully it's a matchup of undefeated teams. And then at number 1, I still have Tennessee because they beat a really good Alabama team last weekend. They put up big points and pummeled UT Martin like they should. We didn't really see any letdown. Jalen Hyatt had another big game. He's a name that should be near the top of the Biletnikoff Award talk, if it's not already. Hendon Hooker is having a Heisman-type season, and like I had talked about on our CFP podcast, as long as he plays well the rest of the way, he, I think, has already earned his ticket to New York. So unless they go on a losing skid multiple games from here on out and he's putting the ball on the turf or throwing interceptions, he has certainly earned his way and has earned a lot of respect, mine as well. So that's my top 10. Kind of rounding it out, I've got Utah, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Wake Forest, Illinois at 11 through 15. 16 through 20, I've got LSU, Texas, Ole Miss, Cincinnati, and Syracuse. Again, that's the 'Cuse's first loss. Not a dominant schedule, but they hung tough in Death Valley, a place where the Clemson Tigers have now won 38 straight games. Not an easy environment to play in. 21 through 24, I have Kentucky, North Carolina moves into the rankings at 6-1 now. Oregon State at 23. South Carolina moves up to 24. And then 25 through 28 in Chappie's Great 28, I've got Tulane at 25, Kansas State at 26 because the Green Wave hold that head-to-head win over the Wildcats. Liberty is at 27, moving into the rankings at 7-1. Their only loss, a narrow escape, or a narrow defeat, I should say, in Winston-Salem against my number 14 Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And then at 28, I've got the Troy Trojans. Big win on the road at South Alabama. They're now, I think, 6-2. They are undefeated in Sun Belt play and look to be in the driver's seat to make it to that Sun Belt title game. And if people keep picking each other off in the Sun Belt East Conference, Troy likely will host the Sun Belt Championship game, which is an even greater accomplishment for new head coach John Summerall, doing great things there for the Trojans. So let me know what you think about the top 10, the Great 28, and any other thoughts in college football. And thanks for following on Twitter at ChappyCFB, and listen to the CFP podcast weekly. Check it out on Spotify, Apple, iTunes. I'm Chappy. It's a beautiful day. I love this sport. This is what I know.